Imagine that you were assigned a task to build artificial general intelligence, right? Obviously, you would have to build artificial narrow intelligence first. You would have to build a regular AI system first in order to reach AGI, right? But imagine that you had zero tools, zero knowledge, no coding experience, no math experience, just zero, where you start from absolute zero. Imagine that you have no textbooks on AI, no ChatGPT, none of these things, that you had to build it from scratch, as if you were the one who was tasked to create artificial intelligence. So imagine going back in history and you're the creator of AI, you're the father or mother of AI, and you had to build it from scratch, you have to invent it from scratch. How would you approach this problem? How would we build AI from scratch? So I don't just want to do coding tutorials, I want people to think. I want to help people think. I think when we truly go into like the roots of AI and actually be able to build these algorithms from scratch, then we can actually say that we understand it. So right now, I'm not going to dive into any machine learning libraries. I'm not going to dive into any deep learning libraries or any of that. Right now, we're starting from the basics. Last week, or last couple of videos in this series, we already talked about variables. We already talked about the Python basics. We already helped you guys set up Jupyter Notebook, which I said Jupyter Notebook is basically the sandbox of AI. And yeah, just check out those previous videos in our playlist AI Unlocked. So just follow those steps. We just talked about simple Python basics, simple variables, and just setting up that Jupyter Notebook and stuff. Once you got all that down, in my personal opinion, you're ready to start digging into AI, which is crazy, right? Because you have, like, if you watch other tutorials, it's like you have to list all these prerequisites and you have to, like, get a PhD in mathematics just to do AI. And I think that's kind of ridiculous. I can understand why, though. And we are going to dive into the deep mathematics behind that. But I want us to think, like, I want us to imagine that we only had a time limit to build AI and we really needed to reinvent the entire thing. Only in reinventing the entire thing and actually building it from scratch can we actually say that we understand AI. And we can actually see, like, what are the problems and how these individuals who were reinventing these machine learning algorithms were thinking. Why did they think this way? Why do they want to develop these machine learning algorithms in that way? I don't know all the answers to that. I actually want to do that as well. So this series, in a way, is me documenting myself and getting into the brains behind the development of AI throughout history. And if you're interested in that as well, well, hey man, that's what all mine is all about. So with that being said, let's begin. Great, we're here in our Jupyter lab. Now here we can create a new notebook. You might not see this exactly because these are just my own virtual environments that I was using in previous projects. Whatever you have up here, you might see Python 3. Just click on that. I'll help you create a virtual environment later. I'll explain what a virtual environment even is in another episode. But right here, we're just going to be talking about AI, right? So, okay. How would we reinvent AI? Well, let's think. So, what is AI? So, what is AI, right? Okay, I gotta fix my spelling. What even is AI, artificial intelligence? Now, this can be super, super philosophical. Like, this channel, again, I'm not going to be creating, your typical coding tutorials where I'm just going to be showing you a bunch of tools so you can start creating your own pet projects. There are plenty of channels to do that. You can check those out. I have a list of recommendations. But here we're really going to exploring the roots of AI, both in a programmatic sense and a philosophical sense as well. And rebuilding everything from scratch so that we can really understand it. So we can build some useful stuff and not be mediocre engineers, if that makes sense. So this question right here, what is AI, is a very philosophical question as well, because it dives deep into what is consciousness, what is intelligence, right? We all know that AI is artificial intelligence, right? Hopefully I'm spelling that right. My spelling is terrible. So this is a comment, by the way. I already talked about what comments are. Artificial intelligence, right? That's what what is wrong with my spelling today? Artificial intelligence. So that's what AI is, artificial intelligence. A is just artificial, I is intelligence. Of course, the question is, okay, what is intelligence? First of all, what is artificial? Pretty simple definition for artificial. And what is intelligence? Now, that's actually a really hard question. So that's the root of the problem. The reason why it's hard to define AI nowadays is because nobody has a clue what intelligence even is. Now, I would recommend you check my previous episode where I have a podcast called AI Renaissance Podcast where we dive deep into these philosophical questions. Because this is more of a coding playlist or series called AI Unlocked series, we're not going to be answering this question because it's a very psychological and philosophical question. But what we can say right now is that AI, in essence, in just computer science, from just a computer science perspective, is just a machine. So it's just a machine that approximates reality. Now, reality is anything. That could be, like, how do human beings, so first of all, how do humans approximate reality? Because the idea behind AI is creating a human being, not a human being, sorry, it's about creating a machine that mimics human intelligence, right? So not only is AI just a machine that approximates reality, it's also a machine that mimics human intelligence. Human intelligence, or just mimics intelligence in general. So let's actually remove human intelligence. It just mimics intelligence in general, or what seems to be like intelligence in general, right? So both these definitions right here are valid. They're valid definitions. Now, how do human beings approximate reality, right? What does that even mean? Okay, well, that probably means that, well, number one, we can see, right? We have sight, right? We can hear, we can touch, we can feel, right? We can talk, we can do a bunch of stuff, right? So sight, right? Here, this is vision, right? So in AI, we have a field known as computer vision. Okay, interesting. So we have a whole bunch of machine learning algorithms that can allow the computer to see, but can the computer actually see? Well, that's a philosophical question. A better question would be, okay, how does a machine actually detect an object? How can it classify an object? So there's classification in computer vision, where we can classify objects. There is there's just classification, there's image generation. So I mean, it's not exactly computer vision, it's more of like generative AI, but it's still part of the same concept, right? So there's image generation, there's video generation, anything that has to do with sight, with the visuals, with art, with detecting objects, with deep fakes, for example. A deep fake is basically, so you know how you can generate AI videos? You could probably take a human being, like me, for example, this video that you're watching, I can take this video of me talking right now, and I can use AI in order to create a video that looks just like me right now, talking to you, and I would probably be saying something completely different that I never actually said in real life. That's called a deep fake. So we can actually create an AI that can help us detect deep fakes online, which is very important. But there's a whole bunch, this field is huge. This is just the field of computer vision, and it's huge, right? So that's just one aspect of artificial intelligence. We got also speech recognition, right? So if I'm talking, can the machine actually like convert the sounds? What is sound? Sound is just, well, sound waves, right? They're just particles in air that are colliding with each other and creating, they're colliding with each other through different frequencies, right? That's how sound waves works, if you're, familiar with a little bit of physics, right? And the computer can, in a way, has like sensors that can detect these different air frequencies, and it converts it into binary code. And then the computer can, transcribe that code into actual, text. That's called transcribing. And then, it could like vectorize that text and then actually provide a response, which is how OpenAI's Whisper API works. Bunch of buzzwords I just said there. Seems overwhelming, I know, but that's kind of the essence of speech recognition. We have speech recognition, we have vision. AI right now, I don't think it cannot feel. It cannot feel. It can talk, but it cannot feel. And that's, I'm not going to dive into that rabbit hole right now. But it can talk. So it could respond back, right? Not only can it detect what I'm saying and provide a response through text, it could also detect what I'm saying and provide a response through actual voice. So these are all the fields that we have in AI so far. AI could also predict the future, for example. Like you could create an AI that can, make predictions in the stock market, for example. But here's the essence of AI. AI predicts. That's the essence of AI. It's all about prediction. Because what is AI doing in computer vision? It's just either classifying image or creating a video. At the end of the day, all it's doing is it's making a prediction. When it's going to classify an image, what is it doing right there? If this is an image of a cat and this is an image of a dog, what is it essentially doing? It's predicting. It's predicting which is the dog and which is the cat. It's not exactly a prediction in the sense of, okay, I'm predicting the stock market. That's called regression, right? This type of prediction is known as classification. So classification is still a prediction because the model is still using a set of mathematical algorithms to make a prediction as to, okay, is this guy over here a cat or is this guy over here a cat? Is this guy over here a dog or is this guy over here a dog? So it's making a prediction in the present. When it comes to regression, it's making a prediction for the future or even the past. So there's all these different fields that can be summarized into one word, which is prediction. That is in essence what AI tends to do. It's just approximating reality in order to make a prediction. And then if you have a more advanced AI, it could take that prediction and make a decision. So this is the key. We're making a decision. We're not just, so AI in its primitive sense is just making a prediction. But if you're going to add agency to the AI, so let me just organize, if we're going to add agency, because human beings, we can also make decisions. So humans make decisions. So what does an AI do? An AI also predicts or approximates reality, right? In the same way that human beings also predict, because human beings also make predictions, right? How do human beings approximate reality? Well, we have sight, right? Like the way that we're able to see is if I'm looking at this object right here, this cup right here, it's a pink cup because it's not my cup, it's my sister's cup, so I stole it, but whatever. The light that's coming from this arc thing that is supposed to improve the quality of the video, I guess, is like bouncing off the cup and going into my retina eyes. Light is just electromagnetic waves. So my eyes, my brain is detecting these electromagnetic waves and providing me an image, if that makes sense. There's a whole bunch of things going on there, but I'm not going to dive into that right now. So, because, that's how me as an agent is approximating reality through sight, if that makes sense. But it's just an approximation, because sometimes our senses fool us. And I already talked about this in my AI Renaissance podcast. So in machine learning and AI is doing the same thing. It's just making an approximation, because sometimes it's going to classify incorrectly the dog. It's going to say, okay, this image of this dog is actually a cat, and it's going to say that this image of a cat is actually the dog. So sometimes it makes mistakes, like we do sometimes. And it all depends on each machine learning model, in the same way that it depends on each human being. Some human beings need glasses. Some human beings don't have very, very good eyesight, so we can get confused as well. Same thing with AI. So, just how human beings predict, make approximations of reality, AI can also make approximations of reality. But human beings can also make decisions. AI can also make decisions. So, AI can also make decisions. So, these are all the different fields. Let me just call this fields of AI right over here. Let me just organize this text. So I think I explained in my previous video how to make these comments. Just check that one out. So these are the different fields of AI, and this is the essence of AI. So let's call this essence of AI, right? So humans make decisions. AI can also make decisions. And humans can predict. AI also makes predictions. So humans make decisions. And so before a human being makes a decision, they have to first observe reality, right? So if you were to ask me, hey, do you want coffee or do you want hot chocolate? Well, first I need to actually listen to you, listen to what you're saying, right? I need to use my speech recognition abilities, right? And I need to, so I can receive the information you're providing me with. I need to interpret that information before I actually make a decision. So humans first approximate reality or make a prediction, same thing, and then they make a decision. So we have agency. So those are two key words right there. Prediction and agency. That's what kind of like defines an intelligence, if that makes sense. It can get very complicated, I know, but right now we're just like putting our feet on earth, just focusing on the practical, right? We're trying to reinvent AI. So AI does the exact same thing. It first approximates reality by making a prediction, right? And then it makes a decision. So if we want to create an artificial intelligence, if we want to create something artificial that mimics human intelligence, a machine that mimics human intelligence, then we have to think about how it's going to make predictions and how it's going to make decisions. If you guys enjoyed, again, this is part of our AI Unlocked series where we go from 0 all the way to 100, where we basically learn how AI works as if we were inventing AI ourselves with zero background, zero programming background, zero math background. We're trying to dive deep into the concepts. We're imagining like, okay, if we had to start from zero, if society didn't invent AI, if we didn't have ChatGPT right now or none of these things, how would you invent AI, right? From zero programming, with zero programming experience, just with the basics of Python, how can we slowly build ourselves to actually building an entire neural network from scratch or building an entire transformer from scratch? The algorithm that powers ChatGPT. How would we do that, hypothetically? That's what the series is about, by the way. If you enjoyed it, like it, share it, comment. If you want to see some stuff, some cool stuff or whatever, just comment. You know, just if you have some questions, comment. If you have some critiques, comment. If you have some suggestions, comment. If you know anybody who's also interested in this, share the video. And please subscribe, man. Like, if this is something that you enjoy, subscribe. Yeah, because this is something that we're doing weekly, on a weekly basis. I'm trying to like upload at least 2 to 3 videos each week. So this is something that we're going to be continuing for the rest of the year, and whoever knows how long this is going to take. So with that being said, thanks. Bye.